is Miles Robinson. He was the one, I believe, the one MLS guy in that starting 11. So of course he got a lot of heat when the lineup drops and people say a lot of things. And I'm curious to think what did you think of his performance? I know it may just be looking at the numbers at this point, but what did you think?
I guess the overall impact that I got from the Twitter sphere was like very easy to pick out, like Miles Robinson. And there were some that were picking out other players, and I have a list of them here, but too often did I see Miles Robinson in there. And it felt, and again, I'm not saying this is what it is, but it felt very much like Miles Robinson made one mistake. If he made a mistake, it was like the end of the world. And anybody else who made a mistake, we're just going to gloss over it until somebody brings it back up, right? So very on par for what USMNT Twitter is.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to put it. I mean, I will be considering Miles played for Atlanta for so long. I have a soft spot in my heart for Miles Robinson. He will always be remembered fondly for his time and what he was able to accomplish here. Watching him grow, so I'm a little. I will 100% say that I am way more biased than plenty of other people are on this topic. But I found five different sources that rated Miles Robinson the highest rated defender in that game. Five different sources: SofaScore, FotMob, Goal.com, NBC Sports, and American Soccer News. Five different sources rated Miles Robinson the best defender in that game. But the way you look at stuff on Twitter would make it sound like Miles Robinson just had the worst game of his entire career. He will continuously be under the absolute biggest microscope because any wrong move that he makes will be criticized to the end of time. But anybody else that makes a mistake, completely look over it. There was a play in the game where Chris Richards was super lazy getting back to the ball. He got beat by the attacking Jamaican player who went in one on one with the goalkeeper. Like they didn't end up scoring, but had they, that's it. The game's sealed. The game's probably sealed and done at that point because he was lazy getting back onto the ball. But if that were Miles Robinson in that case, he would have been crucified on Twitter. Forget about it. And it doesn't matter that Miles Robinson won 11 out of 13 aerial duels this last game. When his name is on the team sheet going into the final against Mexico, you already know all the comments are going to be destroying him. Why is Miles Robinson back in the team? Get him out of here. Give me Tim Ream with one leg before we get Miles Robinson. I did not hear much of a peep at all about Joe Scally's performance, which I thought was mediocre at best. But if Miles Robinson put up that performance, we'd never hear the end of it. He would be getting crucified left and right. It's not
So
surprising. It's not surprising. We knew something like this would happen, right? But I just want to say that I think that it's absolutely outrageous that he gets the amount of slack that he does just because he is the only one in the lineup that happens to be playing in MLS right now, even though he is well talented enough to easily play in Europe.
the one thing I will say is Joe Scally. I did see a lot of notes by halftime to say that he has to come out, in conversation. But um, Joe Scally was I think the Chris Richards example that you brought up probably is a little bit more. I'd be a little bit more upset that it wasn't spoken about as much as the Joe Scally thing, because I think Joe Scally, I think, is one of the players that now hopefully is going to stop getting this. Why is Joe Scally not involved treatment online? Because every time he gets put into a starting 11, every time he gets subbed onto a game, it's just meh, right? It's just underwhelming. It's just like he's either not making enough of an impact to like warrant being an out and out like, oh, no doubter, or he's making enough mistakes where people are calling for his sub by halftime. That consistent, and I'm sure he's playing fine for the mid-table club in the Bundesliga or the Bayern Liga, excuse me. I can't call it that now because they're not going to win it this year.
You just say
Um,
buy your.
yeah, like I said, the buy early, yeah, that's better. Um, I'm sure he's playing fine. I think I saw like 25 appearances for the 12th the 12th rated team out of 18 in Germany. Like maybe we start having the conversation about like form and what it means in the national team compared to the constant callbacks, right? And I have a little section here. I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but it's more about the what do we have left? What's the other option, right? Dest suspended for the very interesting red card he got the other last time they went out. But um, are there better options there than a Joe Scally? Are there better options than a Miles Robinson? Are there better options than a Chris Richards? Right? Like I think the problem is less that Miles Robinson is getting hate and more that people are making these assumptions that there are just, free, 453 better options there. And they are going to use, and like we've talked about before, when you have something that you are emotionally attached to, right? Like for the most part, I think we do a pretty good job being not emotionally attached to the things we're talking about so that we can find the true meaning of whatever we're talking about. Maybe with Miles Robinson and your connection to him, that might be a little tougher, right? Or maybe when we talk about Red Bull for me, right? Those sorts of conversations. But like I think the problem is less about that and more about people having that connection to I don't want MLS players in my national team. So every time he makes the mistake, I'm going to say there's 500 people better than him when maybe there are, but it's amplified to a point it doesn't need to be, right? I think that's the main issue.
I guess that's pretty fair.
You know,
I'm gonna move on to the next question because I have a few more and I want to keep the discussion rolling.
okay.
So